And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because we love talking through the end of the world as we know it every damn time it happens. And I have lost my punch card, so if anybody's got a spare one, I'd love to get that. I mean, even if it's, an old one from like, I don't know, Subway. The pre-Jared debacle years, that would be great. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble pretty much everywhere. You can find me under that name. That's Shujin. Hi. Let me go ahead and introduce you to the folks that were able to make it tonight, and I'll explain a little bit about why that's the way that it is. Midwest of the U.S., Brigid, good evening.
Good evening.
And outside of D.C., where it wasn't inauguration week, oddly enough, UnrenownedTech, hi, good morning.
Strangely enough, a lot of statements have not come true. Although it does seem like their Mother Nature has some shit she wants to get off her chest because she's been really loud this evening. Lots of thunder, lots of lightning. If I just randomly go quiet, drop, my power's out.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Despite battery backup, it's short-lived. Batteries old, need new replacement.
Yeah, fair enough. So, for the time being, that's about the length of what we've got. We know for well that Joseph is out into the out into the country of France, meaning the countryside of the country of France. Don't make this weird.
Was he out visiting his castle again?
Yes.
Yes.
He was complaining about the guy in charge of it, and
it's like having a condo, just medieval style.
And the newer piece falling apart and taking the older piece with it. Because the jackass doesn't understand that, something that's that old and still in good shape considering should probably be fixed up just a little bit. But, what the hell do we know?
I know other countries have even stricter rules about some of their architecture when it comes to restoring the old stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Just because, they have an older history than we do. But on the same note, some of the old styles of how that architecture was implemented, the actual mechanics behind the construction, the materials, where they're sourced from, how they're put together, that's actually known and documented enough that they can replicate it. So to preserve certain levels of authenticity, they actually have to follow certain guidelines. And depending on, whether the local government says, hey, look, for that building, you don't have a choice in the matter. If you're not doing it this way, you're not doing it, end of story. Whereas other buildings are, maybe they're in the middle grade of like, whatever you can preserve, but the rest bring up the code.
Yeah.
And then make it look similar, So it all depends on what that stuff is going through for them.
Yeah. Then again, you've got places over here in the U.S. where it's, what's considered old? Art Deco. That's considered old and ancient by comparison these days. But,
It is old. They knock it down and rebuild on top of it.
Yeah, we're not even going to get into the whole big thing about Poland being several hundreds of years old with some of its architecture and going, we're still a country.
Well, if anybody ever wants to feel old, Nirvana's Nevermind was released in 1991.
Okay.
That was 20 years ago.
Okay, we'll deal with that.
It's a classic now.
It wasn't then. It ain't now. No.
Give it another 10 years and it'll be eclectic.
You know what? You can bite me. Joey may be showing up. He does show as being online, and he would have gotten the announcement, so don't know. He might be tired. Such happens. Dalan, Dalan ran into a small problem with his internet yesterday. before the Friday night show that we do. And yeah, the cable service just wasn't working. Don't know if it was his physical cable line, if it was his modem or his account. Don't know. But he got in touch with us and let us know through channels. His account's fine. There's no technicians available at this time of the night on a Friday to come out and check it. So we got to kind of wait and see what happens. It's annoying, to put it mildly, but you know what? He's fine. He's safe. It's not like we have to worry about wildfires outside his apartment complex. So, fine by me. Or wherever it is that I don't even remember. I think it's a townhouse. I don't remember exactly what it is.
Or flooding.
Well,
like what they have going on in Japan right now.
Okay, let's just go ahead really quickly and just state, if there is enough flooding that Dalan has to worry about it at his level, a floor up, he's got bigger problems than the flooding going on. So the cable. Yeah, the cable at that point. So, we'll see what it works from there. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and maybe we'll touch on some various other pieces.
No, I was just bringing it up because I saw a news article about Japan having multiple rainstorms that were so heavy they had mudslides, and they've got flooding in the streets that are going up to like adults' knees and thighs. They're telling people stay indoors, don't go out. It's two sections of Japan. I think one of them was Saga.
Don't worry about it.
Damn it.
Anyway.
I almost failed geography. I mean,
you're also American. Somehow that doesn't totally surprise me for outside of the continental U.S.
No, it's not a case of, like, I can look at a map and go, okay, there's America, United States of America, okay, there's Canada, so on, and like where Russia is, China, Italy, the big nations and all that. But the names of the cities and such, it's too much. It's overload for my brain. So
that's fair.
If I do like this, here's the Pacific, and here's, and so on and so on. The big stuff I can get.
I don't know all the prefecture names myself, so don't feel bad.
Yeah. I think that's part of the reason why the United States developed the atomic bomb. You don't have to get, pinpoint onto the city. You just have to kind of be close enough. I mean, that's good enough for geography, right? I'm sorry. Am I going for the Disarmament Now campaign right about now? Yeah, I think I kind of am. I'm sorry.
I just hope there's no Japanese people listening right now, because it might be too soon.
It should always be too soon.
Mm-hmm. Well, Promenator's in the host chat, and he's saying, "Hey guys."
What?
Joseph.
Well, yes, I know that. He is?
Yes.
Okay.
He's not in the
I know. I was the one that took him out because I thought he was not going to be able to be with us okay. Let me see. Can I add him?
He says he needs an invite.
Yeah, well, yes, I know that.
Quel surpris. Butchered that.
Maron. Come on, Discord, behave yourself.
Oh?
There you are.
Howdy doody.
Hello.
I'm sorry. I thought you were not going to be joining us, so I had taken you out of the rotation.
You're in Burgundy.
I told you I might not be able to come because I'm at the castle. But they have very good 4G here.
Ah. Okay. Well, let me rearrange everything, put you into place. So there you are. So from
Are you live yet?
Yes, we are. Matter of fact,
shit. Okay.
No, we're good timing. We just kind of finished spot checking each other a little bit, sort of, and I was about ready to go ahead and get into my opening and go from there. So
go for it, sir.
Glad you were able to make it. So, yeah, Stephanie is also reminding us the height of that water that Tech was talking about in Japan, will sweep you away and drown you. Yeah, and people wonder why, when the summer comes up, you keep reminding people, don't become a statistic in the water. People really need to remember just how bad that can be. Not just on the ocean. Be that as it may. Let me go ahead and get things rolling. So, with 5 minutes on the clock for you. Your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Waves. Funny enough, the way that we're talking about this. I mean, yeah, we do kind of have to worry about the water, the summer, being out on the ocean, being at a beach. Hell, being at a wave pool is dangerous enough. That's scary, especially for somebody who might not be a very strong swimmer. That's not what I'm talking about this time. In this case, the waves are the new waves that are happening here in the US, around the world, with this damn virus. Still going on. Well over a year. A month to flatten the curve, only to have it bounce back. And then for the vaccinations to have happen and to bring the numbers back down again. For the anti-vax people to have that jump up again. It's like watching a sine wave happen. It starts with a peak, comes down to a trough, and it goes up to another peak, and goes down to another trough. And then yet again, it goes to yet another peak. And the problem is, these peaks of infections keep going higher and higher each damn time. And it gets even worse. Because that's just infections. What also follows a little bit behind that? Deaths. Continued additional deaths for no good reason. Literally for no good reason. There was a thing that's going around on social media right now, a screen cap of I believe it's somebody's Twitter, who went ahead and said 15 grade school kids were killed with an AR-15, and the Republicans literally did nothing to try to stop that from happening again. As a matter of fact, made it even harder for people to prevent it from happening again. So taking medical advice from these people is probably not in your best interest. But yet people do. People keep disbelieving that COVID is a thing. Disbelieving that these vaccinations couldn't have just popped up overnight without some nefarious plan for Dr. Fauci going ahead and making it happen because he bankrolled the whole damn thing so that he can make more money later. It's simply impossible for this to have been a natural occurrence, because look at who is benefiting from it. In the US, there are people who are sitting in seats of government who are benefiting, who intentionally bought stocks and shares and companies that would have something to do with the mitigation efforts so that they would benefit from it financially, and didn't disclose it. And what's going to have happen? Seriously, what's going to have happen? Virtually nothing. Didn't we have a home and garden presenter go to prison for less? The least should happen for these people. So now the waves are happening, the new waves of infections. The breakthrough infections, by the way, for people who are vaccinated is minuscule compared to the people who are unvaccinated. And they're the ones right now who are getting the more virulent version, the Delta variation. And then those same ones, those same people are the ones who, when the Lambda version finally starts blooming all over the place and blossoming into the public, they're the ones who are going to die. They are the ones that are driving this to continue on. And as much as we really don't like the possibility of eugenics happening, that's exactly what's happening. But they're doing it to them damn selves. And there's not a damn thing that we can do about it except plead and grab them metaphorically by the hair and drag them forward into the 21st century and plead and beg. All the while they sit laying back in their bed with an intubation tube down their throat, waving for a pad and paper so that they can write what last things they can to their family. Because there's no way they'll be able to tell them directly themselves. It's going to have to be hand-delivered by the nurses, who are trying their damnedest to hold it together themselves. It's episode 372 on the docket, Your Honor, Civil Disobedience. Now, as I put into the show notes for the explanation for our show tonight, yeah, you remember back 2017 when the Parks Department was suddenly thrust into the forefront of saying, screw this noise, man, we're going to go ahead, we're going to call it the way that it is, and if anybody's got a problem with it, well, they can go ahead and try to shut us down too. And they ended up spawning, oh God, so many other Twitter accounts that ended up happening. Brigid, help me out a little bit. Wouldn't there like at least 3 that were supposed to be the anonymous White House counsel or names like that?
It was like the Alt Forest Service and Alt
NASA.
Yeah, Alt NASA.
And such like that. There were a number of them that had popped up, and they were all the voice of reason, saying the stuff that these actual groups couldn't say because they risked being fired, or worse in some cases.
And one of my favorite accounts that I still follow that came out of that was Angry White House Staffer.
Yeah. That one's still going, if I remember right?
Yeah, Angry is still around.
And still angry.
Still says that, Mrs. Angry is doing fine, very concerned about, the little Angries because of the mask thing, Yeah.
So to go along with all that, it's now the mild-mannered school administrators who are now coming down and saying, at the risk of getting fired, at the risk of being defunded, at the risk of having the country be all upset with us, we're going to do the right thing, and we're going to do the best that we can to protect the kids that you have entrusted us with, and we're going to follow the science, no matter what the governor tells us. And I am very much appreciative of that, and I think that we need to have a little bit of a discussion about what civil disobedience means in such a manner. Because let's face it, over here in the United States, if there's one thing we know how to do, it's how to piss off authority figures, and God love us for it, so to speak. Which reminds me, by the way, those of you that participated in the Pray the Atheists Away this week, you're welcome. Some of you might not necessarily get it, but yes, I'm now no longer an atheist. I am a Pastafarian.
You believe the flying spaghetti?
The
flying spaghetti monster.
I'm Italian. I mean, how could I not believe in the almighty pasta? It nourishes us, it feeds us, and hey, even the sauce is red just like blood. And you can use wine in making that sauce. And that sauce can be made by anybody. As opposed to, try to make wine because it takes time. You got to bottle it. You got to hope that you don't get anything, weird in there like bacteria. No, man, you get a whole bunch of tomatoes. You put them into a blender. You put some spices in there, some sugar. Sugar is important, by the way. And then, slowly you simmer that down. You boil it out. You put a little bit of red wine in there. The good stuff, not the bad stuff. And then, basically you eventually kind of simmer the hell out of it. And, it's all good.
for your sins.
Don't use ragu. People,
Have you
please,
been touched by his noodly appendage?
for the love of everything good, don't use ragu. Please. That stuff
Everything
is
is
just
good. Just make your own.
well, yes. I mean, you can't do that, but no, seriously, don't buy ragu. Don't buy ragu. Don't use ragu. Just, I mean, there's so many other things that you can do. Ask me sometime. Get in touch with me on social media. I'd be more than happy to explain to you how to make whatever pre-made sauces better, and it'll be worth it. And for those of you that are wondering, why do Italian grandma meatballs taste better than anybody else's? I'll tell you what the secret is. Don't tell anybody else. It's grandma hand sweat. That's the secret ingredient. Ask any Italian, they will tell you. Ask them, they will tell you that you're right. They will also threaten to rip off your lips if you tell anybody. So this is just between you and me. So, just keep that in mind.
There's some people looking for you.
There's always people looking for me. And you know what? That's
Oh,
fine
you
by
just-
me.
You just gave out the secret.
I did, but so long as they are still looking for me, they haven't found me. So I'm still okay.
Okay, keep that hat on.
That's exactly the purpose for it. I did go looking up information on Rafe Badawi's condition. There is nothing new, currently, sadly. So, with that in mind, as of tonight's recording, it has now been 9 years, 1 month, 28 days since Rafe was unjustly incarcerated for thought crime. Our hopes, our thoughts are still with you and your family. We're still waiting. We are still waiting. So anyway, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get the horrible scopes in and done, and this is going to be fun. So for those of you
I
that...
won't be able to participate.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry about that. That's right. That's okay. We will keep you in our thoughts for that. So, folks,
Right.
if you know what your astrological sign is, cool. If you don't, copy off of somebody else's homework, because that's what you've always done anyway. Who cares? Whatever. You go up to the front of the... right on the chalkboard. It doesn't matter. They don't even have chalkboards anymore, do they? Yeah, whatever.
Thanks, sir.
Just a little word of warning. I have a limited forfeit, so I'm not sure how long this is going to last. It may be cut off in the middle of the show. So,
Okay. Well,
so
We believe in you.
all right. Okay. How about I cut out for a second while you guys do the horrible scope? I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
okay. We'll see you
All
shortly.
right. I hope I can find my way back. All right. See you in a sec.
Okay. So, with that, here we go. Aries. This week was the global prayer to end atheism, according to Facebook, as I mentioned. Congratulations on no longer being an atheist, Aries. Now that you've joined a church, be loud and proud about it. Show off that membership card to the Satanic Temple and thank every Christian who prayed for you. They didn't say which one. They didn't say which one you had to believe in. They just prayed for you.
Yeah. Taurus. You remember the posters of the Lamborghini Countach? Is that how it's pronounced? I don't know.
That's it. That's it. The Countach.
Countach. You used to hang in your room as a kid? Not only is it coming back for its 50th anniversary, but it's a hybrid. It packs a V12 engine, a 48-volt electric motor, goes 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 2.8 seconds, a top speed of 355 kilometers per hour, and costs a whopping, keep dreaming. You couldn't afford one in 1986, and you sure as hell can't afford one now.
You know, they tried to pray the atheist away, and I think it worked a little bit because, I was sleeping and I had a dream I traveled around the world. Gemini.
Yeah, I was in the middle of playing Power Wash Simulator when it was supposed to have happened, and I completely missed it. So, whatever.
Gemini. Take the country roads home and stop at the houses selling tomatoes in the front yard. Buy up as many as you can and make some homemade tomato sauce.
See, all the stuff, man, just keeps coming back around.
By the way,
Mhm.
a little known trick for us in the Italian community, when you're making your homemade tomato sauce, make sure you also have concentrated tomato paste. It adds the extra oomph to the sauce.
This is true. This is true. That's one of the few pre-made things that you can get. Hunt's,
Yeah.
if I remember right, is like the best of the best, I think.
My grandmother, one of my grandmothers, was straight over from Italy, born and raised the whole 9 yards, spent almost her entire life there, and all she used was the Hunt's tomato paste. Yeah, uh, seriously.
Yeah, we both agree on that, but she's dead now. So I don't know if you should take very much stock in that because, I mean, it
Well,
probably
I don't
killed her.
know. She lived into her 80s.
Yeah, but, I mean, she's dead now. That's
I mean,
part of
I'm
what
only
she
halfway
did.
there.
Okay. My hat is coming off. That's not a good thing to have happen. Cancer Moonchild. Buy a newspaper this week. Preferably from as local a company as you can. Not that there's anything special going on, it's just that you'll be able to read the news when the power goes out, leaving you without Wi-Fi. That's a little too on the nosy, I think.
Leo, an argument over a parking spot will lead directly to a romantic entanglement. At least it'll feel that way when the other person tells you to do something anatomically problematic. Keep your expectations low with your flexibility high, and you might surprise someone.
Unless you're in the porn industry, in which case that's expected.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Virgo.
Yeah, I almost jumped the gun on that one, didn't I?
Virgo, since you can't get to Hawaii, how about bringing a Hawaiian luau to you? Sorry, tried to do the actual supposed proper saying, couldn't get it right. Break open a barbecue. I don't know about breaking it, but grill an unsliced pineapple or two, and instead of a whole pig, just grill sausages instead. And onions. And bake some bread. Or just go to an Italian festival and get an order of sausage and peppers with pineapple on the side. Or even better yet, you could go up near Buffalo, get some of the best bloody buffalo wings you've ever had, as well as introduce yourself to a culinary delectable, in my opinion, called the Speedy. The Salamita State Fair Speedy.
What is this you're talking about? Buffalo wings. There's no such thing sold up here.
Yeah.
There's wings,
Yes.
but I mean,
Yes. I get it. I know what you're doing.
okay. Libra, that job offer to make a job site video, a job site safety video, is going to go bust this week. Mostly because the shoot is in Germany. They were looking to do a sequel to Forklift Driver Klaus: The First Day on the Job, but all the good sequel names had been taken, reserved, or simply made no sense in German, French, Spanish, or English. Don't worry, though. After the exchange rate, you wouldn't have broken even anyway. There are a handful of people that know about that award-winning film, and you people are my people.
Scorpio, being a home brewer is a fun, if slow, hobby. Be careful what container you use for it. Keep it sterilized and well sealed, or you'll have to learn how to clean the smell of fermented bread out of short pile carpet.
As an aside,
Legit.
I wrote that one very specifically for Sam Mulvey. I have to send it his way.
Vegetarius. Shark. Sorry. A shark is going to bite your friend this week, and it's going to be funny as hell. Your friend in this case is your pet cat, and she's trying to pull the plate pieces out of your shark bite game. This is more funny for you than her. If you get an Amazon delivery and it's the game Perfection, that'll be your cat getting even with you. The only winning move there is not to play.
I'm not the only one that was traumatized by Perfection or Superfection, right?
Yep, my game store sells Perfection. I looked at the owner and I said, "You are a horrible person and you should feel horrible." They never played it before.
At least not when they're 8. Yeah. Capricorn, your local mall is having a really hard time these days. The food court only has 4 vending machines left, and one of them is out of order. If ever you were looking to start up a new company, now would be the time. All the room in the world, and property managers looking to make a deal. Buy a crap ton of tortillas, a couple woks, lots of butcher's paper, and name your new eatery Wrap It Up. As a promotion, offer a free condom with any purchase over 6 inches long. Because, you need to make sure that the stuff doesn't drip out the bottom. I mean, that's just a smart thing to do. I mean, just a smart way to do it.
Aquarius, people keep reminding you to tell people you love them. Obviously, these people are listening to your words and not listening to how you treat others. You're doing a good job showing how you feel, Aquarius. Keep up the good work.
Well done.
Pisces! There's a book on the shelf waiting for you to buy it with your name all over it, Pisces. It's called The Life-Changing Science of Detecting Bullshit by John V. Petrosilli. If ever there was a book you needed to read, this is it. The hardcover is only $25, United States dollars, so you can't afford not to have this book. Buy it now before the lights go out.
That is, by the way, very true. That is actually a real, honest-to-God book we saw this week. And those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, that's completely inconsequential because it plays out the way that it does. And nobody bribed me this week. Again. So if you want something nicer, you can always bribe me and ask nice.
That's your horrible scopes today.
Yeah, it is. And I will, of course, have them posted to various locations all over the internet when I'm working on the next ones next week. So keep that in mind. So it's time to actually get into the real ramp of this whole damn thing. And Joseph should be rejoining us shortly. Tech, you're gonna keep track of what's going on over on the ACTV chat too, right?
Yeah, if he pops back into that.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanna make sure, because unless I fire up my phone, I can't go flipping back and forth, because otherwise I'm gonna screw up the video feed, and that's not gonna be good for anybody. Although I'm gonna look into seeing if there's a different way of doing that a little bit, so I don't have to worry about it. As for later. Anyway, how about a scratch and sniff for next week? No. And I'll tell you why. I will not do a scratch and sniff because, well, I don't want to be licking stamps and licking envelopes to ship those all over to everybody that wants them. All 4 of you. Do you know what it's like trying to deal with getting a paper cut on your tongue?
Ooh.
No, I'm not doing that again. So we'll deal with that later. So, yeah, the whole point of this civil disobedience thing has absolutely made me love the fact that the localities are basically doing a big old middle finger to their governors who are actively working to kill the public. And I say that because it's not passive. They are actively working to kill off these people through COVID. And I can say that because it's not a matter that they're basically saying, well, you don't need to wear masks and leave it up to the individuals. They're actively ordering their localities. You are not allowed to tell people that they need to wear masks in specific areas. And the localities, just like with back a long time ago, have basically pushed back and said, yeah, no, we're not doing that because you're being an asshole. And you're trying to kill us. So, no. So, much like all of the history of the United States, where it's always been a matter of pushing back against authority figures that were doing the wrong thing, yet again, it's coming back to it. And fortunately, you didn't need the Second Amendment crapfest to make it happen, which I'm very happy for, because nobody needs to clean up after blood splatters. Nobody needs to do that. Thank you very much.
You know what? Honestly, I think we should make the politicians have to do the cleaning duties. You know, they should have to be the ones that have to wash the linens that are covered in all the bodily fluids and such. Now the politicians who are actively trying to say things like, "Oh, we don't need to mandate vaccinations. In fact, we shouldn't even be worrying about getting our kids vaccinated, and hey, we're all human, we die," things like that. Okay, you get to go to the hospital now, and you get to go do the laundry on all the nasty stuff. And if you get something and it kills you, don't worry. You're just human. You're going to die of something anyway, right?
Oh my God, am I so fucking sick and tired of hearing people with that bullshit response.
Mm-hmm.
I had to deal with somebody this week who is exactly that. Who literally was using that exact catchphrase. And
they're hearing they're either the Republican representative from Georgia is either originated it, or they're just mimicking it, and I think it's the mimicry part. But yeah,
as far as sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, these people, they're just making sounds. I mean, as long as it doesn't happen to them, it's not real. And that's it. And watch them change their tune as soon as they come down with the sickness.
You know what?
Seriously.
Go ahead, because we're gonna tag right on that.
Wondering about something though. I'm wondering if DeSantis has stock in Regeneron, and if that's why he's pushing treatment tents with Regeneron.
You need to explain. You need to explain that a little bit, because we're still gonna loop around to what Joseph just said, because that's super important.
Yeah, Ron DeSantis is setting up. They're having to set up like little field hospitals and stuff like that because of all the overcrowding in the hospitals and no beds and all that other stuff. And his idea is to have these little clinics where, on an outpatient basis, if you first start showing symptoms, you can come and get Regeneron, because that'll keep you from having to be hospitalized, and that's a hell of a lot more expensive than $1 mask. And I'm wondering if he has stock in it.
Okay. We also need to kind of backtrack just a little bit to get a little more context to that. Ron DeSantis is
the governor of Florida.
And Florida right now is in what kind of shape as far as COVID is concerned?
It's a shit show down there.
I think that is the technical term for it right now.
Yeah, it's a shit show. They have got the most cases out of any state. They have... It varies, but between 20 to 25% of all of the new COVID cases. And, their hospitals are just swimming in it.
Fair enough. Are you trying to show us some video?
Yeah.
Oh.
But I can't turn the camera around.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry. It's just that you and Brigid switched on my screen, so now... Her name
because
is
the video on. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It just confused me, because I'm looking at them just like, wait, why would Brigid be showing the outside? It should be dark that's actually very pretty out there.
Yeah. But I can't figure out how to turn the camera around, so you're gonna have to bear with me.
Nah, don't worry about it.
Discord actually does have a button for that.
Oh, where is it?
Oh, look at that.
It's on your screen, literally.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I'll find it. Just give me a second. Continue talking.
Is this where we go?
What?
No.
Well, part of it. Part of what you were trying to do was actually cut out, probably by the automatic system for cutting out background noise and such.
Ah,
But
found it.
yeah, she was trying to do the sound effect from
Friday
Halloween.
the 13th.
No, that was Halloween.
Oh.
That was from Halloween.
We are not into All Hallows Eve yet.
Doesn't matter. I mean, if they're going to try to
Yet.
pray the atheism away, let's celebrate Halloween frickin' early.
No.
And this is my room there.
A little
With the
parapet.
windows open. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm starting to think this whole do Thanksgiving early and all this other stuff early and like give Halloween like 1 day, 2 days in the stores at most. That must be part of the Christian agenda to get rid of Halloween.
Different topic. Another night. And Joseph, by the way, for the record, that cute little round tower, small tower that it might be, I'm sorry, I can't understand how that's your room over there, because you don't have nearly enough long hair to get into that.
Well, I have to be in it. No, that's to get somebody. That's when I have guests. I have to let my hair down.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Well, enjoy having the next prince come down. So, I don't know. We'll go from there. This is as good as a joke.
I'll go
as-
up top. I'll give you. I'll go up top. I'll give you a view from the parapet.
That'd be cool. But at the same time, he's probably going to have better reception up there too. Anyway. Okay, so
Oh, but I have to say the 4G here is wonderful. This is the first time I've done this. So
you
as
sound
you know.
wonderful. You actually do really sound
Okay, thank
wonderful.
you.
Anyway, okay, so DeSantis, Florida. I complained about Florida last week, very specifically about Megaplex, because too damned many people in one place for a convention, and you know what? Exactly what I feared was going to happen happened. We've got a number of cases because of contact there. Tampa.
I mean, look what happened in Mississippi.
Mm,
People went to outdoor gatherings, but they were packed in tight. They went to a fair, thousands of people, shoulder to shoulder. Same thing as the convention. Hospitals are overflowing. Hey, people, guess what? When you go outside or you go indoors and you're around other people, you get shit from other people. Put on a fucking mask.
You know, this is making me think that maybe I should go looking for the MythBusters episode where they tried to figure out how much cross-contamination can happen from one person to another. I don't know how many of you necessarily remember that one, but I will go hunting that down because it was figuratively and literally illuminating what they ended up doing and finding. And that was a good 10 years ago now, I think. So
I think everybody should be forced to. I mean, this should be mandatory. 100%. We talk about, mandatory this is mandatory anything is bad for the public. No. You know, we've joked about like mandatory retail work to understand what a retail worker goes through and everything else. I was like, no. This isn't even on that level. What I'm about to say is on a much higher level. It should be mandatory for people to have to watch medical videos of what happens to the human body, specifically in children, young adults, and the elderly, when it comes to getting sick by the various diseases that we have that can kill. Staphylococcus, staph infection. You say, that's not going to do much. It's like, yeah, you haven't seen a child with staph. E. coli. Oh, you know, you're just in the stomach. You're going to be in the hospital for a little bit, but you'll be fine. Really? You haven't seen what it does to a child or the elderly, have you? No, obviously not.
MERS.
You probably heard about it, from some high
There's
school
a
kid.
meme.
Huh?
There's a meme out there. It's actually caretaker workers. They're holding up a sign, and they said, "Well, people, anti-vaxxers, we're hiring. Your duties will be care of the dead."
Yeah.
Yeah, transport of the
seriously.
dead, and and care of the people on respirators and things like that.
Yeah. In all honesty, people who have the open stance of you can't make me get vaccinated and I refuse to vaccinate my kids. Great. Then you have just openly and publicly refused medical services from a hospital. If you get COVID, good luck. Maybe
But
praying
before
it
making
away
it
will help. You know? Try
before
prayer.
making it mandatory, well, there has to be a reasoning behind that because these people, they can behave any way they want, but as soon as we can show that their behavior is demonstrably harmful to others around them,
We already have.
then
Dude, we have.
Yeah.
We have
Good.
shown
I
that
mean,
by
that's-
refusing to get vaccinated, you literally not only take your own life into your own hands, but others. And even after vaccinated, by being around people that aren't vaccinated because maybe they can't, maybe they literally cannot get vaccinated. There are some. And you're
Very
not
few
wearing a
cases.
mask, you run the risk of killing that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, just looking at 2-year-olds that are on ventilators just kills me.
Wasn't there a story where it was a 9-month-old toddler that died?
Yeah.
There have
From
been a
what?
lot of kids that are dying right now because, one, we don't have a vaccine that's approved for use for them yet, but we're working on it. And in the meantime, during this short period of time that we need to get it done, we can't have adults walking around in masks because they can't breathe very well, or it's too hot out, or, I have rights.
Yeah.
Are you
Go
saying
ahead,
that
go
toddlers
tell
have
that
died
2-year-old
from
that's dying.
COVID?
Yeah,
Are you saying that toddlers have died from COVID?
yeah. The one story that I'm
From
thinking
the
of,
Delta variant?
I don't recall which one it was. However, the story that I'm specifically thinking of, and I have to track down to try to figure out which the hell one it was. The parents, as I recall, were anti-vax and refused to be vaccinated. If I'm remembering the story
Yeah.
correctly, and I think that I am.
Now compare
Okay, so
that to
the
fucking
Oregon's
Jehovah's.
young.
Compare
Tech, wait.
compare that to Jehovah's Witnesses who won't let their kids get blood transfusions. I mean, it's in the same, religious or not, it's in the same mentality.
But it's worse because you can actively kill other people.
Yeah.
If you
Yep.
can refuse a blood transfusion yourself, that only hurts you.
Yeah. Tech, I'm sorry to have stopped you, but you guys were, crossing over on that. What was it you were going to say?
This is
Oh, yeah, no problem. So, in Illinois, the new COVID virus, the variant, right? Infant died from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's all we need to hear. It doesn't matter if they were 9 months, 8 months, 6 months, 11 months, 2 months, 1 year. Sure, there's a difference between infant and toddler, but infant becomes youngest COVID-19 death in Illinois. Okay, so here in the U.S., COVID is killing babies. Okay,
And it's from the-
pro-lifers, all you anti-abortionists, what are you doing? Are you helping to get the word out about the vaccines for the adults who can help protect their infant children? Are you doing that? No? Why not?
Yeah, well, remember, we've already discussed that, and these people are not pro-life, they are pro-birth.
Birth.
But that's neither here nor there. The point is well taken. Joseph, yes.
Oh yeah, has it been demonstrated? This is the Delta variant, of course.
Delta is out there more. Lambda is on its way.
But
And-
Delta's what's killing
Oh.
these kids.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah.
yeah.
And see, it's not just kids right now that are getting affected.
No,
We have young people in their 20s and mid-20s and 30s still dying of it because they refuse to get vaccinated. Now, on another note, in your 20s and 30s, you don't want to get vaccinated, You want to stay at home. You want to catch COVID and run the risk of dying of it. Have at it. Seriously, one less idiot in the gene pool. Okay, great. But
Yeah,
if
the
you're not
Darwin
going to get
lottery.
it, don't go out. Don't go out. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to touch you. I don't want to see you. Nobody does, because you're going to kill somebody besides yourself.
But freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom is not running around with a loaded gun with the safety off, with your finger on the trigger over a gravel road.
Hold it. Yes,
In a public environment?
Hold on. This is one of those situations where I'm going to use the expression from The Incredibles. I am legally required to answer yes. And here's hold on.
Brandish a loaded weapon with the safety off, running through the public.
Hold on. Generally speaking, most areas in the U.S., even those that have open carry laws, morons, you have the right in these situations, when push comes to shove, now, just allow me to finish, to hold your weapon in whatever way you would like. Reminding you that I'm pitching up because there's more. And I'm taking this thing off of my head because it's falling off my head. I don't have any bobby pins for it. Whatever, it's close enough. You guys know. Anyway. So long as you are not pointing it at someone who is not a threat, because, again, pitching up, because there's still more, because until you have fired the weapon, it is still just a tool waiting to be used versus a device of murder if you have shot and hit someone. That's the biggest problem. There is that until you actually pull the trigger in these areas where you can openly carry, and they want to go ahead and say you can openly carry whatever the hell you want, until you pull that trigger, until the powder ignites, you, generally speaking, can get away with whatever it is that you want to get away with as far as to how you carry it. That's the difference between a good guy with a gun and a bad guy with a gun, a chemical reaction. As
but
far as the law
good guys,
goes.
Potentially a bad guy, no?
You know, it's funny how that happens that way. Can you hear the sarcasm dripping out of every pore that I have in me? So backtracking a little bit of what was said, where these people don't do anything about the stuff because it hasn't affected them. I cannot state this strongly enough. That is, here in the United States, the fucking Republican way. Until and unless it directly affects them or someone they are directly attached to, they are going to go ahead and do whatever the hell it is that they think is going to keep their power and influence.
But I think it's a state... Sorry. I think it's a state of human nature. It's not exclusive to Republicans.
No.
I mean, it's also the left is doing it as well.
I highly disagree.
I disagree too.
Because
Really?
how many times have we talked about lab rats that can show empathy to other lab rats that are in distress? And they have no community of any kind. They are individual rats. They have no shared language, to the best of our knowledge. They have no culture that they can interact with each other enough in order to build. So they have, at a genetic level, rats, laboratory rats, have shown the ability to have empathy and problem-solving skills.
I wasn't talking about empathy. I was talking about our concept of reality. Like that it's not real unless it happens to me. I mean, like on the extreme left, anyways. You've got people, they want to impose their rules on everybody else, without actually having a conversation. It's something I call "take my word for it"ism. It's a basic state of human nature. We tend to rely on others to make decisions for us. And this is kind of what's happening with the Republican Party. But they are first in line to take full advantage of this.
See, now I've got a problem where I don't agree that is a how do I word this correctly? I don't agree that this is something that happens nearly as much with those who are in the progressive side, the left side, as with the right.
No, hold on. I'm not comparing volume.
Hold on. No, hold on.
I'm just saying that it happens.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be those drawn to power who want to have that happen? I would agree with that easily. Do I think that those who are on the left, i.e. the progressives, would people of that bend be more inclined to use reasoning and sympathy and empathy to form policy? I think it is far more likely for that to happen as a group. Again, reminding you, big, broad brush here. I know. And that's why...
Again, I wasn't...
No, hold on.
I wasn't comparing...
No, hold on a second. And that's why I'm having a hard time accepting the premise in general. And we lost him. Shoot. We'll bring it back. That's why I'm having a hard time with the premise itself, because I don't think that is something that happens nearly to the degree. There you are. You are back. Okay. What I was just saying was that I don't necessarily think that what you're describing happens nearly to the degree that it would happen.
Again, I made no point of comparison. I'm just saying it also happens on the left. It's not exclusive to the right. That's all I'm saying.
Right. We're not talking about does it happen everywhere. What we're talking about is...
I didn't say that either.
Right.
You know
in
what?
a way you did. In a way, by saying, well, it's not just here, it's also here. It's like, well, that's great. But what we're seeing is we're seeing a massive propensity for the current standing Republican Party here in the United States, okay, to stay and do whatever it takes to maintain and procure more power, even if it costs them the lives of their constituents. Whereas in comparison to the other parties that are available, including the other majority party, which are the Democratic side right now, which are predominantly comprised of liberals, progressives, and moderates, they, while willing to also do a lot of things to maintain power as well as obtain power, they demonstrate, regardless of what they think, the demonstration through what they vote, what they do when they go out, how they interact with the public, they demonstrate that they are not willing to go to that far of an extreme to obtain the same level of power. That they would they demonstrate instead the use of the other tools, the tools of trying to talk to reason, trying to use science, trying to talk about the statistics and the reality of the situation, and the call and the begging and the pleading to put on the masks and so on and so on and so on,
Keep that
to
in
try
mind.
to demonstrate that, yes, you should continue to vote for me because I actually want you to live,
Yeah.
even if
Okay,
it's an
but
inconvenience.
keep that in mind, and then add voter turnout to the equation. And the voter turnout is abysmal because people can very well think this in their own head, but when it comes to actively voting and like that, I mean, the situation still sucks. And if you're not voting, you're essentially leaving the decisions to other people. And again, the right, they're right on the front. The noisiest people, the most aggressive people, well, they're going to get their way. It is because the left is leaving everything to everybody else.
And some of the
If,
voter
if
turnout,
if what you were saying was true, the voter turnout on the left would be massive.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There are people who are sitting at home. I even know a guy who doesn't think his vote counts for anything ever, no matter what he votes for, and so he doesn't vote. So I tell him, like, when it comes to matter of politics, I really don't care what your opinion is because you refuse to actually take a stance and make something happen with it. You've chosen to remain silent. Don't come bitching to me because you don't like what's going on. You chose to remain silent. But there are a lot of people in this country who, when it's time for them to vote, ran into problems because there was people actively working against them because they belong to the other group, the other race, the other ethnicity, the other belief system, the other side of the tracks, whatever phrase you want to use, and actively worked to make it so that they couldn't, or scared them, or intimidated them, or do all the things that you shouldn't be doing as fellow human beings.
Yeah.
The right is aggressively making decisions for other people, and a lot of people on the left, by not voting, they're leaving the decisions to everybody else.
If you're a little old black lady who's like, 70, 80 years old, walking with a little walker, and you've got four big white dudes who are, 5, 6 feet tall, whatever, they've got 200 pounds each or more on each of them, yelling and screaming that, you need to vote for Trump or you need to get out or blah, blah, blah. That little old lady might have a backbone and stand right up to them, and good on her. But then again, she might also be a little old lady who is relatively intimidated easily, not because she's a lady, but I mean, when you're in your late years, you can trip and break a hip. So, it doesn't take much to put you in a hospital at that point. Your body has been slowly breaking down over time. And, as people become more aware of what they can no longer do because of their age and what's going on inside of them, little
I
things
don't see
like
your
that,
point
like
though.
some big intimidating guy walking up to you and
Are you
intimidating
talking
you to
about
turn
people
and go
not?
home.
Are you talking about people not voting?
Yeah,
Reasons for not voting?
yeah.
Okay, but is that the majority of the case?
That is one example. But what I'm saying is
Yeah.
that there has been, and we've seen it in the news here in the U.S., that during the last election there was a lot of the religious right. There was a lot of the self-proclaimed conservatives with a lowercase c, Republican parties, MAGA hat-wearing people actively working to intimidate voter turnout, actively working against the system, actively trying to sabotage the system. Um, the fact that we got as many people to turn out in this country as a whole in the last election as we did is amazing, considering all the roadblocks, all the brick walls, and the problem is that right now the remaining Republican Party members are still actively campaigning, trying to make it even harder for those same people who did vote and managed to vote to not be able to vote next time around.
But it has been demonstrated that they are a minority. So all we need actually is just a massive voter turnout. That's all.
Yeah. Now,
So we need.
And it's simple to say it. It's very simple to say it.
You're right.
Well, no, but I'm saying that's what we need. I'm not saying I'm not doing it.
No, and you're right.
And it's not up to me to dictate to others what they should do, but we have to present a convincing argument.
Yeah, and
that their vote matters.
Right, and when all is said and done, this is going to happen sooner or later through attrition. It simply will, because of the way that things are happening. Now, to go along with that, because I want to use this to kind of move this part forward, as well as kind of pull us back to where I was going originally with the idea that the conservatives, which tend to be those who are on the right, i.e. the Republican Party in the U.S., and I'm using the conservative word because it translates pretty much anywhere. Any groups that are considered conservative are the ones who want to keep the status quo, keep how things have been, and prevent things from moving forward, hence the terminology. Then the reason why I'm going to this is because these groups tend to, again, large brush, I know, tend to not want to be progressive about things, not want to change things until and unless something directly affects them or those directly affected, directly next to them, shall we say. Case in point.
Yeah, exactly.
Case in point.
That's exactly that. Yeah, sorry.
Stem cell research in the 80s was pushed back against until suddenly the wonder child of the Republican Party had Alzheimer's, and stem cell research could be one of those things that could be helpful for poor Mr. Reagan, and was pushed by Mrs. Reagan. Hold on, as another example, we had a push against same-sex marriage at the federal level until Senator McCain's daughter came out as being other than cishet and wanted to be able to live, love, and marry the person that they loved who would have been the same gender or same sex or whatever it was. And I'm using that because it wouldn't have mattered. He changed his position in order to no longer be against his own flesh and blood. This is what ends up happening. Until and unless it directly impacts them, they do not want to sway from where they are because for some stupid reason, empathy and sympathy seems to be something that they simply will not glom onto because it makes them seem wishy-washy? Question mark.
No, it's basically, it's again, you're right, it's a self-centered, I've got mine attitude. And I'm comfortable. It hasn't happened to me, so I'm great. I want to stay this way. Those are the conservative people. Mostly. I don't know. But that seems to be the trend.
Can't argue.
I've got mine. I'm comfortable. I want things to stay the way they are. And until it happens to me, I'm not going to change my mind because, because I'm self-centered. I don't empathize with others. I only know my own comfort condition. And I'm not going to change until I have to.
Yeah, funny enough you should say it that way, because didn't we see all of the yelling and screaming going on from people who were like, why should you go ahead and forgive student debt now? I had to go through $40,000 of postgraduate schooling, and I scrimped and saved, and I finally paid all mine off. Why should you go ahead and make it easy for all these other kids? I got mine. Fuck them.
You know what? I'm gonna say this right now. I paid off my student loans earlier than I thought I was going to be able to.
And you got lucky.
All paid off. I got lucky. Mine's all paid off. And you know what? If there was if politicians came forward and said, "Look, we're planning on initiating this thing for getting rid of crippling student debt," I would still be in favor of it, even though mine's paid off. You know why?
Mm.
Because I know what I had to go through to get it paid off, and I wouldn't wish that on somebody else.
And that's exactly what's
I'd like
happening.
people,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, just I'd like to add to the equation. Why is education so expensive, so fucking expensive in the first place?
Different.
That's
That's all.
no, you have
No.
you,
Hold
yeah, but you have to
on.
you have to add that to the equation.
Hold on. That is a very important part, but
Yeah.
it's not a piece that we
Reality
can deal
is
with
a
directly.
whole.
Well, yes, but it's not a piece that we can even scrape the surface of right now. The situation is, it is massively expensive here in the United States, improperly so in a lot of ways. But right now we can't go anywhere close to that, because there's a hole. You want to talk about a rabbit hole? Yeah, that one's just going down with Arnie Sacknewsome. There's a couple of people who actually know that reference, and again, you people are my people. Journey to the Center of the Earth, you're welcome. Cartoon series, 1969. You know who it is. Anyway, the point is, there are people who feel like, I went through the absolute shit. Why should other people be prevented from doing that? And those are the ones who do not care, do not have sympathy for. Those are the ones who are, I got mine, fuck everybody else, for no reason other than, well, if I could do it, why shouldn't they? P.S. Some of you people lived through an era where the goddamned iron lung was a thing. Are you people really going to go ahead and go with the idea of, well, we actually stimulated the economy by building iron lungs. Why shouldn't we just continue building iron lungs so that we can keep the economy going? Because fuck you, that's why. God, I'm using this too much tonight.
This mentality of, well, I went through this horrible thing, so everybody else should have to go through it too, that is not empathy. That is vindictiveness.
No,
That is,
it's not even
well, yeah, you're right. It's not even that. It's just mean. Okay?
It's sadistic.
My foot broke because I kicked a car. That means anybody else who kicks a car should have their foot broken. No. What should happen is you should learn your lesson not to kick a car, and then you take that lesson and you teach other people not to kick the car. Now, I'm not saying we have a problem with people going around kicking cars. It's just an example. You know, you use it to help better others. And when you find a system that's broken, okay, that is making crippling debt and such, you warn others, hey, this is what I went through. This is what it was like. And if you can avoid it, you can avoid it. If you need this system, then maybe we need to find a better way to handle it. Let's work together to find that system. Not, I went through all this hell, you have to go through it too now.
Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, empathy is saying, I wouldn't wish what I went through on anybody else, even my worst enemy.
Yeah, the debt I went through and the way I went through it, I don't wish that on anybody. I really don't.
You have to be fucking evil to want that.
And as a sideline that takes all of that and brings it over to the biological virology thing, how absolutely sadistic and incomprehensibly callous is it for those who have decided, I had chicken pox, my kids don't need to get the chicken pox vaccine, I'll just infect them myself. It's the same level of caring, i.e. not. Now, here's where it's happening. And Brigid, I need you on board on this one, because I have to believe you've seen some of the same damn news stories that I have. The people who have been swearing up, down, left, right, the whole thing is a hoax. It's not nearly as bad as what everybody says. The numbers are on my side. I'm going to go ahead and roll the dice. It's 1 in 10,000 that I'm going to end up in the hospital. And then there are people who these people end up in the hospital gasping literally for breath, doing interviews and telling people, I had no idea. Please get vaccinated.
Yep.
Here's a question. It's just a thought. But does empathy require critical thought?
No.
No.
No. The rats, remember? Rats will help each other when they are in distress. They have shown this. We've talked about that multiple times. You don't need, at least not in the way that we think of. Somebody's in distress, you go to help. If do we need critical skills in order to hear a kitten is in distress to go to assist?
Yeah, I see your point.
We do that because we can, because we don't want other living creatures to be in distress. And yet there are groups of people, organized groups of people who not only do exactly that, but they have organized it so that they stay in positions of authority where they can organized do that.
But not only, because I mean, you get people living in fucking trailer homes. They're voting Trump. Their condition is miserable. They don't seem to be aware of their own condition.
2 words: Stockholm syndrome. They believe the groups that have put them into that position. Sorry?
Or Dunning-Kruger?
No. They have Brigid, I'm going to get you in just a second. They have been conditioned to be enamored with those who have promised them over and over again, things will be better for you eventually. And it could be those who are in political positions of authority or mythological positions of authority.
So once again, leaving their life decisions to everybody else.
Brigid, go for it.
Well, I was going to say what's really disturbing to me now. I mean, besides all of the people saying, it's not my problem if I get sick and give it to you and you die, that's your problem. But there are hospitals now that are having to advise their staff to change out of their scrubs before they leave the building so they're not attacked. And they're having to have police escorts to their car.
Wait a minute. What? Jeez. This is news to me.
This is something that I saw earlier today. But, apparently some people are, threatening medical personnel.
Well, people will go to violence to, quote unquote, justify their own. It's just another form of digging in, against all fact and reality. And that goes for the religious as well. It's the same mentality as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed.
Cult.
I don't know if there's a news story out there or not, but there were a couple of nurses on Twitter that I've been following for a while that said that that's now their policy because, they're being attacked. And that's one thing that has been a problem anyway, even before COVID, was, nurses being assaulted in emergency rooms and things like that. But it's gotten beyond that.
That is insane.
And I'm sure you saw the video from the school board meeting in Tennessee.
Oh God, that was scary. That was a travesty. For anybody that doesn't know what happened, there was a school board meeting where some parents ended up showing up, and they were literally screaming with their team T-shirts on and their signs, yelling and screaming at the board to not have kids wear masks.
They were threatening some medical people too, that some doctors that had come to address them.
Yeah.
And that guy that was in his car, and they said, "We will hunt you down. We will find you. We know who you are." He was a doctor.
Wow.
Stephanie's got a piece over there. There was one on Twitter this morning. Some poor chap has been assaulted twice.
Working in healthcare.
I assume so. Stephanie, if you just clarify, that would be wonderful. If you've got further information as to where we can look that up to, that'd be wonderful. But I don't, I don't know how to word this other than to say, I literally cannot fathom how it has come to this. I literally cannot fathom how it could have come to this.
I'd like to argue
I
it's
can.
always been this way. I mean, since biblical times. I mean, you've got one part of the population only concerned with their own salvation, well-being, and all that, and you've got another smaller part of the population exploiting them. And I mean, the behavior changes, conditions do, but I mean, it all comes down to the same behavior.
Yeah. Stephanie said, yeah, he was a nurse, and going to try to look up the information. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's actually easy to see how they've done it. So first off, they've locked in their base. Okay, they've locked the people of the anti-vax, support Trump, don't wear a mask. They all fly in the same. They all eat from the. They're all feeding from the same trough, and that trough is comprised predominantly of things like Fox News, Rush Limbaugh, and other variants of those two. Okay. They're all fed the same thing, which is fear, 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 and then here's where your salvation comes from us, as long as you do these things. Okay, so again, this is all based off of what Joseph is talking about. This is an old technique. This goes back to biblical times and predates it. It's all based around using raw emotions. You get them to be afraid.
Reaction.
You get them to be terrified. You get them to have their critical thought and their rationality stripped away, even momentarily. And you can do this to anybody. It doesn't matter what their political stance is. You can do this to any single person if you can find out what their fears are. Okay? And you target those fears, you reinforce them, you make statements that that basically trip those fears, that enhance them. Okay? Even if they're false statements, it doesn't matter. You say those things. Right now, there's groups out there. There's I forget this one guy, what this one guy's name was, but he and his wife have like 14 or 15 online publications, all web-based, that reinforce each other. It just goes around in a circle referencing each other. And I know I mentioned this in another show. I think I even mentioned who it was. I'm going to have to go back and look it up. But point is that when somebody falls into their loop of using them as a news source, and it's like, oh, look, this news source, they cited their information from 3 other news sources. Well, all those news sources are all by this same husband and wife team, and they were all designed to reinforce each other. So now, it doesn't matter what those, those hippie liberal, socialists say. I've got proof right here that my fears are validated, and that if I really want to stop being afraid, then I'm going to need to go through, this person over here and vote for this and make sure this law is enacted and everything else. Now, what makes it worse is when you have on the other side do something that helps enforce that behavior. Case in point, if you have a political figure who's misbehaved in public, okay, they get called out on it. They should be punished for it. Have a nice day. If, on the other hand, somebody doesn't like them and they make something up, okay, and it comes out later that even something was made up, okay, that we don't have the evidence right away to prosecute. There's none of that stuff that exists. It's just one person's word against another, which is called hearsay in a court of law. Then we don't dox that person. We don't drive them out of their job and try to get their life ruined. But we have seen that. And so I know for a fact that I work with some people who would be very good at becoming moderate politically in terms of political stance. They'd stop being conservatives, that they'd be more on the moderate side, with even some partial liberal leanings, if the extreme side of the liberals would like take a step back and calm down for a little bit. But because they're not, and because they're so loud, they're acting as more fuel for the fire, whether they realize it or not. Are there bad people out there and that we need to address it and make sure it doesn't happen again? Yes, absolutely. Do we need to behave like every single person who's immediately targeted for that is guilty as sin without the evidence? No. No. Because in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. When the evidence starts to stack up, that's when we start to go, oh, now we need to start analyzing the evidence and see where this leads us.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to protect any political figures or anything like that. I'm just using them as examples because we've had relatively recent news. And in the past couple of years, there are guys that I work with who are afraid for their sons. Why? Because their sons are white. And they're afraid that somebody's going to come along, accuse them of misappropriately interacting with them, whether it's true or not, immaterial, and that their son's life is going to be over as far as they know it. I mean, hell, I've warned my son. It was like, dude, you're in a world when if you go to college, if you decide that you want to go to college and you work to pay for it and everything else, if you go places while you're in college, have friends, use the buddy system, because all it's going to take is one person who's angry at you to make a bad statement. And if you have people on your campus who like to latch onto that sort of thing and just destroy people's lives, it could happen to you.
Okay.
So make sure you have a buddy system, make sure you have accountability, but that applies to everybody, but
yeah,
it's more of a reality than it ever was before.
Yeah. Now keeping that in the pocket for a second.
Yeah.
But
that's how they do it, though. That sort of fear is what drives.
Yeah. Now the thing that we need to keep with this is, and as a sideline piece of this, there is a difference between people told us things that were wrong for the motive of keeping the FUD factor high, reminding people FUD being fear, uncertainty, and doubt, because once you can get into that emotional headscape, it doesn't matter what the facts are, because people are simply reacting instead of conceptualizing, versus science now has new information and has adjusted accordingly. And damn it, there are too damn many people who think that is a bad thing. And think that is another fear thing that they should be going with.
It doesn't fit into their quote-unquote worldview.
Right, because...
basically is everything they're comfortable with.
Or more appropriately, that...
It's a threat.
That they think that every authority figure should be right 100% of the time, right from the get-go, and if they're not worth paying attention to, unless they're in a cult with them. Case in point, what happened this week with Mike Lindell. Case in point, those that are in death cults who say the world is about to end and then it doesn't. Seventh-day Adventists are coming to mind for me on that one. The ones who are told this is going to happen this date and it doesn't happen. Specifically, Friday the 13th, a new president is going to be sworn in. Not so much. But yet, even though it's been shown it ain't happening, they're wrong. They're going to continue to believe him because it's the Stockholm Syndrome thing. They're in love with those that have been doing this crap to them. For whatever reason.
Well, they've never learned to make decisions. They haven't learned to judge the value of anything for themselves. They haven't done the legwork. I mean, geez, thinking's hard.
Or
But,
worse yet,
you know,
they've had it actively repressed in them by
yeah.
training.
Yeah, and that breaks down to uh, the news sources that are using the FUD system.
Yeah, and
to
reminding everybody
not
in
only
this
train
case,
them but reinforce it over and over and over again.
yeah, and reminding everybody in this particular case, the way that he's saying news should be viewed as news in huge
But the
scare
FUD
quotes.
But the thing is, the thing that most disturbs me is the FUD system works. And if you want a demonstration that most of the population is prone to believe things like that, well, if the majority of the population wasn't prone to take other people's claims, you know, without demonstration of, without proof or anything, would this kind of thing be prevalent?
Item one, I don't believe it's the majority of the populace in my country. And I'm saying that with nothing behind it other than the fact that there's still a fight to try to get back to actually following science. And I can't talk all of a
There is
sudden
a
for some
fight.
reason.
I'd like to still argue that it's the minority that are fighting, actually, actively. Because, you know, the news wouldn't be doing that if the majority of the population wouldn't stand for it. If the majority of the population called bullshit, these guys wouldn't be doing this anymore. Like
It's
Fox
like
News and everything.
you know, you're probably not very far off, if wrong at all, because the Republican Party did go out and make the statement a while back, back when, you know, Oompa Loompa Mussolini was in office, and that is, you know, if every single citizen of the United States of America could vote by mail, there would never ever be a Republican, a conservative in office ever again. Probably right. Probably the most honest, accurate statement ever made by that president. And that scares some
Yep.
people. That goes to FUD, because some people have been so trained to think that if it's not a Republican in office, my life and the way I live is in danger. It's like,
Yeah, these are my leader, provider, deciders.
yeah, hey, Republicans, conservatives, guess what? There's Democrat, liberals, and even moderates that own guns, that like to go shooting, that like to go hunting. They like guns. They like different types of guns, not just a shotgun or a rifle or a revolver, but maybe they like the AR series. But guess what? You'll
Well,
never
here's
know
something.
that. You know why? Because you're too into your own bubble.
Yeah, the United States seems to be a country of everyone for themselves. Canada has more guns per capita than the U.S. does.
But there's a big difference in the overall mentality and temperament. And that makes all the difference in the world. Quite literally.
Yep.
Is this a new metric?
Nope.
No, it's a portion of it is simply because of the disparity in population. Don't forget. Plus,
Oh,
you know,
no, well, yeah.
that's
But this is going back to bombing for Columbine. It's even going, well, how many years ago was that?
oh God. You would, considering how it's not in the collective consciousness for saving kids in schools anymore, too damn long.
Yeah.
But the part of that, a part of the statistic, has to do with the difference in the overall population and where those populations are compared to the U.S. Part of that. It's not the whole thing. It doesn't tell the whole story by any stretch of the imagination. But like I said,
Yeah, again,
there's a huge difference in temperament between our two countries. Be that as it may.
reality is all.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, reality is a whole. So I mean, if we're gonna consider anything to any effect, we have to consider the whole picture. And yeah, it takes a lot of work, but
Agreed.
it needs to be done.
Agreed. My only point is that there are people who are going to say, well, no, and the all of the statistics that roll into this whole damn thing, there's a lot of them, and that's only one of them, because I know full well somebody's going to go ahead and later make the comment of, well, there's so few people by comparison to the U. Yeah, that's a statistic, but that doesn't tell nearly the whole story. We've talked too damn many times about how context matters, and statistics is only one. That particular statistic, I should say, is only one piece of the color palette to that whole damn thing. Back onto it.
If I can make a side note, a demonstration of this.
At this point, why the hell not, right?
Yeah, but like Wikipedia, one of the reasons it sucks is because you just see the prevalent mentality going on there is that people take reality and then they take the facts from that most convenient to them, and the people who do this are the most aggressive, the ones reverting everybody else's edits and shit like that, and that's what wins out.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait. I may be misunderstanding a portion of how you're wording it. Isn't typically the overall reason to be for Wikipedia to put as many facts as possible with as few extrapolations and personal biases as possible into these articles?
Yeah, that's it. But the rules are every claim has to have a source. Mm-hmm. But if you take reality and you've got a certain amount of authors who have a certain stance or a certain quote-unquote interpretation of reality, you can cite only them. And that way the article is presented as fact and with cited sources. So, technically it's in the rules, but it's possible that, especially when we get into religious articles, especially like, for example, the one that comes to mind the most is there's an article on there on state atheism, which is an entirely religious concept. But nowhere in the article will you read anything about the idea originating in religion.
But
it's and plus they have tons of it's basically an essay, and it's been there since 20 years, the article, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Generally speaking, though, over the aggregate of time, don't most of these articles and sources eventually get checked against their sightings to find out if they're accurate or not?
Yeah, but that's what the article's doing. It's following the rules. I mean, every fact in the article it's sourced. But since the article is only presenting a selective projection of reality, it's a lie, basically.
If you figured this out about this article, have you taken the steps to correct it?
Oh God, yeah, I tried. Yeah, but I was overwhelmed by a well-organized, the people who wrote the article, which are basically people from the religious right.
Well,
just look up state if you want to put it in the show notes. Just the article is called State Atheism, and it's basically these authors, quote unquote, attributing everything that happened during the Russian Revolution to atheism. And from the start, they also included, I think Pol Pot is still there. Do you know the atheist atrocities fallacy?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's the article's basically it's that.
Okay. I'll
So
take a.
all I'm trying to say is that you can present a case that's perfectly cited. You've got a demonstrable proof for what you say, but it may not represent all of reality.
In a situation like that, believe it or not, I would take the step of being in touch with a different group that would be even better organized. If I remember right,
I've
isn't there
done that.
the
Do you know who Susan Jerbick is?
Guerrilla Wiki group?
Yep. Yeah. I contacted them about it.
Okay.
And they did a test or two, and they were immediately reverted. But I haven't heard anything since then.
Okay.
And this was like is going back 4 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
So it's even too much for them. That's how vocal the right is, or how aggressive. They don't play by the rules. They cheat. That's what it takes to win because they're a minority. So basically, all I'm saying is that yeah, you're right. If all of us stepped up and expressed our empathy, our care for others, and integrated this into our laws, all the shit going on the right, it just wouldn't stand. It wouldn't be there.
There is definitely something to say to that. So we've only got a little bit of time left over, and I want to have Brigid. I want to have you in a lot right now because there are you've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes right now, and for those of you that don't know, with our chat that goes on, I try not to type because it comes through on the microphone. There's no way to get that out. But she's been busy finding articles, and I've been, looking at them very quickly as I can. I have a hard time digesting them, but there's at least one piece that we kind of need to have you really talk about, and that was the one that you had just put over there. And I think that's really important to for you to go ahead and tell everybody what that last line is that you got there, and kind of explain the context.
Well, I just saw where Alabama, their ICUs are full, and they're so full right now that they're instituting crisis of care. What that is triage, which basically means, okay, you have 2 patients who are decompensating and they need a ventilator, and you have 1. Who do you give it to?
I'm sorry, just make sure that we all understand because I didn't know what that term meant. Decompensating?
It's where they're going downhill very quickly and they're, about to die. And so if you have 2 people that need to be put on a ventilator and you only have 1, you have to decide who gets it and who dies. And there are also, I've seen other reports of people having to ride around in ambulances now because there are no hospitals to put them in. And even Oklahoma is in bad shape. They're having to fly people, for an ICU bed, having to fly them to places like Idaho because that's the closest and only place they can get a bed.
And since we had mentioned about it, do you have any insight or any word as to what's happening in the North Metro cities in Florida?
Probably the same thing. I know that as far as like the tri-state area, that's, Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, if you need a bed for anything, you're not going to get one. So if you happen to have a heart attack or you break a hip or something like that, good luck. You're on your own because there's no room at the inn. You're just going to die.
Maybe they should build some beds in triage over at Mar-a-Lago.
No.
Yeah, maybe they should. I mean, Mississippi right now is setting up a field hospital in a parking garage. And I know that if I had to go there to spend my last few days, no, that's horrible. And, the other part of that too is you have nurses now that are quitting in droves because they have had 15, 16 months of this and they can't do it anymore. And that's Ron DeSantis's idea is, hey, we're short on, staff here, so we're going to pay bajillions of dollars to hire, traveling nurses. And that's a lot of money.
And if I remember correctly, the vast majority of nurses hearing about this, being interviewed about it, have basically said, yeah, go fuck your face. We're not going anywhere because chances are we're probably not going to survive ourselves in this industry for the next, 3-4 months because we're just getting the fuck out.
Yeah, they're leaving. And teachers are leaving too. They got a teacher shortage now in places because some of the teachers are like, if we can't wear masks and, protect ourselves and protect our students, then we're out. We're done.
To go along with that, there is also one of the news articles that I had already put into the show notes about how there were several teachers, school staff, who died within days of each other, and school isn't even in session yet.
Yeah.
They're a week out from school opening, and there are teachers that are dead.
Yeah, I saw that in Broward County. I don't know what the hell these people are thinking. I really don't. And, some people are saying, yeah, but there's still beds, but they don't have the personnel to work them. And, typically a nurse in an ICU unit will have 2 patients. But for these COVID patients, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 nurses for that one patient.
And it's not like you can just go to the local temp agency and get new people.
Well, the temp agencies have traveling nurses that are making buku bucks going to other areas of the country. And you've had some nurses that have left hospitals to go do just that. It's lucrative to get a $25,000 bonus to go work for a couple of weeks. But, the other nurses, I feel so sorry for them, the ones that are just like, we can't anymore. We just can't. And they quit. And some of them have walked out in the middle of their shifts.
I want to emphasize something. This is not nurses walking out saying it's against their religion. It's not against... No,
they're tired.
No, that wasn't a question. That was a statement.
Yeah.
These are not nurses who are saying, oh, them catching COVID is against my religious beliefs. Oh, I don't feel comfortable. No. These are people who are
PTSD now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been fighting a war for a year and a half, and this is war.
Any rational person would. It's a risk assessment.
That too.
Basically.
That too. Agreed.
Yeah, there's risk assessment going on, sure, but I mean, we're talking about people who are so emotionally and physically exhausted that they're literally breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
We have scientific evidence that when you're under extreme stress, your immune system becomes compromised. The more stress you're under and the longer you're under it, the more you stress your body and your system, the more susceptible you are to becoming sick, ill, and having other complications as well. Organs, your brain, the whole 9 yards. These are people who have been under this kind of stress and pressure since the beginning of 2020. We're almost we're more than halfway through 2021.
And we had a local doctor here. Ascension is full. They have no beds. Deaconess has a few beds, but there was a doctor that was on the local news that was saying, if you come to the hospital now, you're not going to get good care. We don't have the staff, and it's going to be suboptimal what we can do for you, and it's not our fault.
I have a very callous question.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody know if Andrew Wakefield got vaccinated?
I have no idea. Probably not. But my husband and I were talking about this. He's like, there's got to be people making money or something at this to let it get this far out of control. And then, we found out a few days ago that Rand Paul's wife had stocked in Gilead.
Yeah, which is what I was
And
making reference to.
got it early on too. And that's the only stock she's ever bought. And I've seen rumors on Twitter that DeSantis also has stocked in some of these companies. And so as long as people get sick and there's a pandemic going on, they're making money. And that's all they care about. I wouldn't be surprised if Abbott is making some money off of this as well.
To make it seem even worse, I think that, there's a certain, the upper echelons of society, they tend to consider the lower echelons as a source of income and at the same time collateral damage. I mean, whatever, they don't give a shit what happens.
I believe the expression that's been used is acceptable tactical losses.
Yeah, at first it was sacrificing old people to prop up the economy, and now it's the kids.
Yeah.
That is just horrible.
I got one last question then for you, Brigid, before we have to wrap it up over here. What was said was that when you go under long terms of stress, it affects how the body can react and keep itself safe from pathogens and such. And one of the things that was mentioned was the stress that can happen for long-term PTSD, for a year and a half of going through 600,000 dead people that didn't need to be, for one thing. Mm-hmm. But someone in the medical industry, nurses, hospital nurses, who have been under a year and a half of this amount of stress and pushing, the likes of which they have never seen except when they were first starting out in their medical career and having to do 16-hour days if they were lucky.
Yeah, they're doing more than that now.
How much more would it take for one of them to make a mistake that could be detrimental to their own lives, never mind bring it home to their families and loved ones by accident?
Too, there's no doubt. There is no doubt in my mind. And what's really sad, at least in this country, and hopefully somebody will change this, but doctors are under this kind of stress too, but they're not, I'm not going to say allowed, that's not the right word, but they can't go get any kind of mental counseling or mental health or anything like that. They can't. Things like that are reportable to the state boards, and it will end their careers. And so they just have to suck it up. And I don't think that's fair.
Hey guys, I'm going to have to cut off because we're going to be leaving for a hike very soon. So we're getting prepared.
No worries.
Have fun.
We got to have a wrap up anyway. So Joseph, thank you very much. Have a safe time, and beautiful to see some of those pictures, man. I can't wait to see more of it. You have a safe one.
Yeah, definitely be safe, because there are people out there praying that you get lost.
Hoopa, for example. Okay, anyways, all right. You guys take care, okay?
Okay, till later, man. Thank
and
you.
See you next week. Okay, ciao.
Okay, ciao.
Sorry, I wanted to inject a little humor.
No,
I just think that's horrible, though, that they can't even go see a therapist because it'll wind up in their records and it's reportable to the state boards and they could lose their license. But
there are too damn many groups that we've talked about where that's been a deciding factor for people not getting mental assistance, emotional assistance. And there's not a hell of a lot that we can really do about it.
No, it's not.
Tech, is there anything that you want to finish off with? Because truth be told, I don't think I've got very much of anything that I can even say now because I'm just so distressed.
You know, it surprises me that after a year and a half of COVID and masks and staying indoors and such, people haven't really taken advantage of what's going on. I mean, what better excuse can you possibly find to stay inside and view Pornhub? You know, or have happy times with your significant other, or if you have several. You know, I mean, you don't. Hey, want to go out and play cards? Nah, it's COVID. It's dangerous out there. I'm just gonna stay inside. Pornhub. You know, seriously, folks, come on, take advantage of it. I mean, hell, the industry right now is actually suffering an kitchen appliances shortage because of two things. One, the manufacturers thought there weren't going to be a lot of sales, so they kind of toned down how much they were manufacturing. And two, everybody staying inside and experimenting in the kitchen and everything, they broke a lot of stuff. So trying to get it replaced has been hell. And the manufacturers are trying to catch up. So it just goes to show you that some people are taking advantage of it. What's wrong with the rest of you? Why aren't the rest of you taking advantage of it? Come on. Anything that you wanted to do in the house, in your yard, or your property, whatever, that you need an excuse to stay home and you didn't have one, you've got it in an abundance. Hell, I challenge all you people who refuse to stay home. I challenge you to stay home as much as often as possible, using COVID as an excuse until your arm falls off. That goes for the ladies too.
For what it's worth, a bread maker going to be one of the best $100 you'll ever spend. Truth be told,
Yep.
Seriously.
Yep.
And if you break, if you break your stove, get the largest size toaster oven that you can find, because you can make steaks in them. You can cook toast in it. You can do everything in between. Okay, whatever you can bake in a stove, depending on size, mind you, you can bake in a toaster oven. So, you're not at a full stop. Nobody is. You just think you are. Get creative. Wear a mask. It's not like we even have a shortage of masks anymore. That's not even a legitimate excuse to not wear a mask now. We had that before. I understood when some people were like, well, I can't get one and I don't know how to make one. And it's like, let me help you out. I can help you out. Okay? I've got this one over here. It's been sterilized. It's in a baggie that's been sterilized. Wash the outside of it if you really want to play the paranoid game before you even touch it. Have a nice day. There's a mask for you. Now they're in CVS, they're in Walgreens, they're in Giant, they're in every kind of grocery store, convenience store. 7-Eleven's got them. The sports teams are putting them out. Everybody's got them. There's no reason not to have one, not to wear one. Seriously, folks, put on the damn mask. Or stay home and have some self-love. Your choice. Pick one. Flip a coin if you can't.
Nurses are starting to get compassion fatigue too, and some of them are actively angry at these people that are showing up unvaccinated, that don't wear masks, and sick.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be showing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible, but if you want your freedom and your responsibility, then you need to keep your, responsible ass at home and die there and not take up resources.
Agreed.
That's really, really mean for me to say that, but I'm over it. I'm done with these people.
So what official thing do you want to close with, if anything?
Fuck you, anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers, unless you have a legitimate medical reason for not getting one. And fuck you, Abbott and DeSantis and any of you asshole GOP governors that are like, we're not going to allow any mask mandates and we don't like vaccine passports. Just go fuck yourselves.
I've got one item that I want to close with, and it's just really quick. And it's inspired by somebody that maybe one of these days will actually be able to get on the show. When you hit your 18th birthday at 12:01 a.m. local time, you are legally responsible for your own well-being. If you have parents that have chosen for you that you are not going to be vaccinated, you can go out in the middle of the night and find a way of getting yourself the jab. And better yet, it's free. Reminding you, if you're going to follow along with the way that we talked about tonight, of being able to just get away with stuff because you can be civilly disobedient, this is your way of doing it, and nobody has to know. Remember, HIPAA is a wonderful thing for keeping your information quiet. Please keep that in mind. Please be safe. Guys, we need to go ahead and roll up shop. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for being with us and for listening to what we've had to say. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and you got something to think about for the week ahead. One of these days, I actually have to write that down because every once in a while, I keep panicking as I'm saying it and thinking, shit, do I remember what I have to say? Shit, do I have to remember how to say it? I really got to write this down for myself. I've got the opening written down. I didn't do the closing yet. I should really do that. It's only been, 7 years? Should really do that. Everybody, thank you very much for being with us. Obviously, Joseph is on his way, so, on his behalf, of course, everybody take care of yourselves. Over in the live chat, Stephanie, Fearless, guys, to you both, of course, just be safe. Please be safe out there. Tech, glad you're able to make it. You take care of yourself. Stay safe. And, remember, if you've got more than about, 1,500 volts going through a Cat 6 cable, you probably got something going wrong. Just keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah.
Probably. See, I can get away with that joke because people don't realize over on telephone lines, 90 volts. Look that up. But anyway, seriously, you keep taking care of yourself, man.
Trying. You guys too. Be safe, everyone.
Truly. And Brigid, yeah, I know you started off with, firing off the F-bombs, but, you want to carpet bomb anybody else. Feel free to go ahead and do that right about now, because Lord knows they deserve it. They always deserve it.
Fuck you, Trump, for making this whole thing political in the first place.
Oh, that's a good one.
You have blood on your hands. And current statistics now, which are, it's going to go up, but 15% of the people who are winding up admitted to the hospital with COVID don't come back out of the hospital. 15%. And those numbers are only going to go up as people are having, to be triaged and, treatment rationed. You GOP people were talking about death panels with Obamacare. Here are your death panels right here.
And roughly, what's the overall percentage of people that are ending up in the hospitals that are vaccinated versus unvaccinated?
Vaccinated's very, very few. It's only like 2 or 3% of the people that have breakthrough infections, but it's only like 0.5% of them are dying. Overwhelmingly anywhere from 97 to 99%, depending on locale, of the people being admitted are unvaccinated.
The statistics don't lie, people. Keep that in mind.
And I've also heard a couple of doctors say in the last couple of days that whether you're vaccinated or not, eventually everyone is going to get COVID. So do you want to take a chance of not being vaccinated? No.
That is a terrifying concept.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a hard time sleeping tonight, I think. So we'll work this as best we can. I know for well that colleges, school districts are going to be starting up very soon. So, folks, please be very attentive to what's going around. And I don't mean from the medical side exactly. Be aware that kids, and by kids I even mean college kids, will probably show some stress at this time. Do the best that you can to alleviate whatever they've got. Give them a little extra love, a little extra attention. You know, maybe make a good comfort dinner sometime. Keep that in mind. Because believe it or not, I'm going to be making a small thing of lasagna. And I say small, I mean small. Even for an Italian, it's small. It's a 9x9 glass brownie pan. Trust me, if I had my way, it would be a big, thick, 8 inches deep kind of thing. No, I got to make something that's 4, maybe if I'm lucky.
Oh, I have one more thing I just saw. Sorry, I found an abstract.
Oh crap! Now what?
The efficacy rate of the mRNA vaccines against Delta is a lot lower than they thought it was. I mean, it'll probably, keep you from getting seriously ill, but the efficacy now is like around 60 to 70%, depending on which one you got. I mean, it's still good.
Yes.
But not 96% anymore, like it was against Alpha.
Which means the likelihood of there being some kind of boosters later goes higher.
Yeah,
but
there will be.
But for those of you that are wondering, well, is that really a big deal? Ask anybody who has had to roll a natural 20 in a D&D campaign. Any opportunity to get off of the natural 20 and roll a 17 or an 18 instead, they'll take that every goddamn time. Do what you can for yourselves and for everybody else, would you please? And Fearless, yes, I did kind of see that. It's going to take me a long time to read through that. Fearless has this wonderful habit of sending me recipes. Apparently, somewhere or other, she thinks fattening me up is a good idea. Hun, I'm already fat enough as it is. Trust me, I'm Italian. I know these things. Everybody, thank you very much for being with us. If you'd like to be in touch with us, take a swing on and over to the website, holycrapthevlogcast.com. It's got all of our contact information, as well as the download for the audio version. I need to check in on Dalan, because we haven't had that updated in a while. I got to see if there's some way that I can help him out a little bit. Let's see what we got. If you'd like to leave a voicemail message, phone number is 859-HCTV 554, 859-4288-554. Please be safe. Please be careful. I know we're getting to the end of the summer. People are still going out on the water. And people are going to open-air concerts and fetes and stuff like that. Really, judge for yourself where you could, should, and most assuredly should not go. And if anybody gives you shit for it, just remember, you're not doing it because of them. You're doing it because of you. Something tells me that the opportunity of not committing long-term suicide is probably preferable. I know we all want to go out and see concerts and whatnot, just not the cost of your life. You want to be able to enjoy those memories for a long time. So, until the next time we'll get together, everyone, as always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And it was my wife's birthday this week. I miss you. Matere Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. And until the next time we get together, everyone, as always, good night.